was an old inn that had been abandoned for many years, said to have been abandoned due to a terrible murder. However, even after many years of abandonment, nearby residents still often heard rumors of strange sounds and terrifying hallucinations there. Some said that at midnight, you could hear low cries coming from the walls, while others claimed they could see ghostly shadows flickering in the windows under the moonlight. A young explorer, determined to uncover the truth after hearing these legends, arrived at the old inn on a dark and stormy night. As soon as he crossed the threshold, he felt a chilling sensation. He cautiously made his way through the abandoned lobby and entered the upstairs corridor. Suddenly, he heard a deep whisper, as if someone were speaking to him. Startled, he looked up to see a door at the end of the corridor slowly opening. He wanted to flee, but his body seemed rooted to the spot. Nevertheless, he decided to investigate and slowly climbed the stairs. Upon reaching the top, he entered a dimly lit room filled with a foul stench. In a dark corner, he discovered an old chest filled with blood-stained clothing. His heart raced with a sense of foreboding. Suddenly, he felt something behind him.
Help me!
He turned around to see a ghostly woman standing before him, her eyes hollow and terrifying, a sinister smile on her lips. The young explorer screamed in terror, attempting to escape, but found himself paralyzed. The ghostly woman approached slowly, her fingers icy cold, as if she intended to drag his soul into the depths of hell. Just then, he woke abruptly from his nightmare, drenched in sweat, lying in his own bed. He breathed a sigh of relief, realizing it was just a terrifying dream. However, as he looked into the mirror by his bedside, he saw his reflection, his eyes empty and terrifying, a sinister smile playing on his lips. In the quiet of night, under a sky scattered with stars, the town's abandoned factory stood as a monument to a bygone era. Once a bustling hub of activity, it now lay dormant, its vast halls and machinery shrouded in darkness. The local police department, familiar with the town's nooks and crannies, often received calls about trespassers in such places. Shift work at the department meant adapting to a constantly changing schedule, with officers working long hours at all times of the day and night. On a particularly silent night, Officer Daniels, a seasoned member of the force, was nearing the end of a grueling 12-hour shift. The dispatcher's voice crackled over the radio, breaking the monotony with news of a break-in at the old factory. It was not the first time Daniels had been called to the site. The place was a magnet for thrill seekers and those looking to escape notice, expecting little more than a few teenagers looking for a place to hang out away from prying eyes. Daniels approached the factory with a sense of resignation. The goal was simple: to ensure they left the premises without incident. Trespassing was an offense, but on nights like these, a stern warning often sufficed. As Daniels neared the factory, a flicker of light caught his eye. It was erratic, moving through the shattered windows of the upper floors. Something about the way it darted from place to place seemed off. With years of experience under his belt, Daniels knew to trust his instincts. He readied his flashlight and stepped into the belly of the beast. The factory was eerily silent, save for the distant sound of dripping water and the occasional screech of metal as it settled. Daniels announced his presence, his voice echoing off the walls, but was met with silence. Moving cautiously, he made his way through the labyrinth of machinery, his flashlight piercing the darkness. It was as he ascended to the second floor that a sudden noise, a clang, as if something heavy had been dropped, stopped him in his tracks. The sound had come from ahead, deeper into the floor. Daniels moved forward, his hand instinctively resting on his sidearm. The factory's layout was a maze of corridors and rooms, each one revealing nothing but relics of its industrial past. As Daniels reached the end of a long hallway, he found a door slightly ajar. Pushing it open, he stepped inside, only to discover evidence of recent occupation. A backpack, a discarded can of spray paint, but no sign of the trespassers. It was then that the door slammed shut behind him. A moment of panic set in as he realized he was not alone. From the darkness, a voice emerged, breaking the silence. "We didn't think anyone would come," it said, tinged with fear. Turning, Daniels found himself face to face with a group of teenagers, not the hardened criminals he had half expected. They were scared, caught in the act of leaving their mark on the forgotten factory. The situation de-escalated quickly once the initial shock wore off. Daniels, though tired, found the energy to impart some wisdom on the group, emphasizing the dangers of their trespassing, not just legally, but physically, in such an unsafe structure. As dawn approached, the factory was once again left to its silence. The teenagers had dispersed, leaving behind their plans for adventure. Officer Daniels, reflecting on the night's events, realized that the factory, like the hospital from years before, was a reminder of the town's history and its forgotten corners. The night's adventure had ended without incident, but the memory of it would linger, a story to be shared among the officers as a reminder of the unexpected encounters that came with the badge. In the days that followed, the factory, like the hospital before it, returned to its quiet vigil over the town. The mystery of the night resolved, leaving behind only whispers of what had transpired. Officer Daniels would remember it as a night when his expectations were challenged, a reminder that behind every call was a story waiting to unfold.